In today's episode, we talk about celebrating wins. We look at how to find internal joy and excitement, and look at the need for us to find connection.
Welcome to Man Questify Meaning, where we help men navigate modern life, find their true purpose, and redefine manhood. I'm your host, James, and each week, inspiring guests share their journeys of overcoming fear, embracing vulnerability, and finding success. From experts to everyday heroes, get practical advice and powerful insights. Struggling with career, relationships, or personal growth? We've got you covered. Join us on Man Questify Meaning. Now, let's dive in.
Hey everyone, welcome back to Man Questify Meaning. I'm James, and I'm so glad you're back, whether you're a long-time listener or just tuning in. I appreciate massively you spending your time with me. Let's dive right in with what's been happening lately. And over the last 2 weeks, I've had some really big wins that I feel pumped to share. First up, let me tell you about some wins I've had the last couple of weeks. And the first win is that I'm going to add this to my episodes where I'm solo, simply because as human beings or as a society, quite often we focus on what we didn't get done or what's gone wrong. So I wanted to really emphasize the focus of looking at our own wins and looking at wins just generally, because when we start to look at our wins, we can start to celebrate, we can start to see progress. And so some of the wins that I've had is the consistency in my CrossFit training. I'm starting to be a bit more consistent, which is good. Also, I'm starting to get my head around podcasting, which is amazing. And also, I've noticed that I'm becoming a lot more mindful. The people in the audience, what I want you to do now is to have a think. What are your wins for the day? What are your wins for the week? So if you're listening to this episode now, I want you to pause and I want you to write down 10 wins you've had this week. It could be the smallest of things, but the more that we get into the habit of writing down our wins and what's gone well this week, the more we're going to focus on this part rather than focusing on what's gone wrong. So stop the recording and write down 10 things which have gone well this week. Now that you've written down 10 things, I want you to celebrate, because we so often don't celebrate the little wins. Like I said a minute ago, what can you do to celebrate? You could go out for the evening, you could have a nice meal, you could have a sauna, you could have a coffee, just something small. What I'm going to do myself is I'm going to start playing a bit of music and going to have a dance. That is my way of celebrating. Shifting gears a little bit, I wanted to share what's been going on for me personally. So the idea of this section is that I talk about things that are currently going on with the idea that what's going on for me is probably going on for other people, and maybe shedding a bit of light on how maybe I'm dealing with it or what's the ins and outs, what's going on, might actually help the people out there. One of the things that I want to talk about today is how I had 2 days of being lazy, procrastinating, feeling overwhelmed, and really not knowing what to do. And so I ended up spending a whole 2 days watching films, eating pizza, eating sweet, cake, chocolate, the lot. And it makes you feel really bad. I felt like a slob. I felt worthless. I felt not enough. I felt horrendous. But I had a realization on the end of the second night that really what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to be completely perfect. I'm trying to be this perfect idea of myself. to be able to do the work, to get everything done, to get my website up and running, to get up early in the morning, perfect time, to go into a morning routine, to do all this stuff, and then to do my fitness, to do everything. And I get to a point where I'm putting so much pressure on myself. And I have this idea that I need to be perfect, but I don't need to be perfect. These 2 days, yes, they have been a little bit disruptive and not quite what I really wanted, but they've allowed me to see that I'm a human being. And these kind of things happen on the odd and rare occasion. What I can really celebrate here is that I was able to identify, I was able to recognize, and I was able to celebrate because in the past, I would have beaten myself up. I would have carried this going from 2 days to 3 days to 4 days to a whole week. But I realized within 2 days, and I was able to stop the pattern. So rather than doing it for days and weeks and months, I stopped myself. And so there's this realization that it's about continual improvement. It's about continual improvement. It's about improving, not being perfect, not be that perfect idea of who I think I need to be. It's about allowing myself to make mistakes, to do things which I normally wouldn't do, to go and to be lazy sometimes. But though I also recognized is that one of the reasons I do this is because I lack connection in my life. And there's this realization that what I'm really after deep down are deep connections. I'm after deep connections with myself, with other people, to be able to have deep conversations with people on subjects that I really enjoy, to be able to go out and do things that bring me enjoyment, bring me excitement. And it's this realization that I stay in my house. I stay in my house where I feel safe, where deep down, I know that I'm going to be safe, I'm going to be secure, nothing's going to happen. But what I really crave is that connection to go out, to meet people who enjoy the things that I enjoy talking about, to go out, to have fun, to go out and dance, to have enjoyment conversations, to go and do things which really fill my heart full of joy. And it's this realization that I need to be able to now to start to incorporate and bring into life these connections. So in order for me to do that, I need to step outside the comfort of my own home. I need to go and explore. I need to take a risk. I need to embrace the unknown because you never know what's going to happen when I step outside this house. It's about bringing all this enjoyment, this excitement, this feeling of ecstasy, of amazing feeling now, not next year or next month or 5 years' time or 10 years' time when I've done this and this. I need it now. And it's also knowing that that joy, that excitement, it's also inside us. Here now in this moment, just talking about it, I can feel this joy, this excitement, just expressing these feelings and expressing all this stuff in my heart. So I want to put it out there to all you guys listening to this podcast. What is it that brings you joy? What brings you excitement? What brings you that feeling that you are whole, you are complete, you are worthy, you are good enough? Because it's all there. We don't need to find it. We already have it. And what can you do today? Find that feeling again or feelings. Could it be something that you've perhaps put off for years? Could it be that hobby that you might have forgot about or that thing you did as a child? And it's what can you do? What little steps can you take to find it? If it's something big and daunting, break it down. Because I have been at a point of feeling lost, having no purpose, or thinking I had no purpose. That feeling of depression, of anxiety, of fear. But I'm sat here now, having searched and searched, this realization that it's already within inside me. So I asked the question, what can you do today? If you've been following this podcast, the last few episodes, you will know that we've had a few incredible guests on the show recently. And I want to take a moment to recap these episodes for anyone who might have missed them. First up, we've got Steve Judge, who talks about overcoming adversity. After a life-changing car accident that left him wheelchair-bound, doctors told him he would never walk again. So rather than accepting this fate, Steve chose to defy the odds, and how his journey of overcoming adversity completely transformed him, and he went all the way to become a world champion para triathlete. He also talked about the power of a positive mindset and how he set small, achievable goals, each one building on from the last. He talks about how important it is to maintain a clear vision of what he wanted to accomplish, even when the path seemed impossible. And this mindset wasn't just about physical recovery, it was about reclaiming his life and creating a new narrative for himself. Steve's journey underscores the idea that motivation must be cultivated daily through both triumphs and setbacks. He also talks about a role of a support system and how, in order to be successful, he needs the right people around him: coaches, friends, family, people he can lean on. We also looked at transforming setbacks into opportunities. So rather than seeing this accident as a tragedy, Steve reframed it as an opportunity to reinvent himself. The idea that people can emerge from adversity stronger and more focused on their goals. After regaining his ability to walk, Steve didn't stop there. He pushed further, setting his sights on competitive sports and ultimately becoming a world champion. And then he goes on to talk about achieving your dreams. And what he talks about is a powerful reminder that no dream is too big if you're willing to do the work. And he goes on to talk about becoming a world champion, about being a speaker, helping people. He uses other people's inspiration to really hone in his own craft. Next, we had Mark Wingfield, who talked about havening technique. Now, this was a bit of a different session to what we usually have been doing. This was a session that not just gave us an opportunity to try it, it was an opportunity to transform anxiety, fear, stress in that moment. He took us through a 6 to 10 minute session where he went through this process of transforming something which might be happening in this moment, such as an argument with a loved one, or you are feeling a bit stressed about work, or you're going for a job interview. And he talks us through havening technique as a way to overcome the emotions that we might be going through. As well as that, he gives us a 5-minute demo of how you can wake up every day feeling on top of the world. That now brings us to the end of the episode. Next week, we have David Heiner. Now, he's interviewed over 250 top achievers, from billionaires to world champion athletes to people who are incredible in business. And he talks about big, hairy, ginormous goals. He talks about what these top achievers do with regards to accountability, support, to do with taking responsibility for taking action and achieving their goals. It's going to be an absolutely incredible interview, and it's going to be jam-packed filled full of content. So you don't want to be missing out. I would like to thank the listeners for tuning in. And remember, if you have any feedback or any reviews, I would love to hear. Until next time, stay curious and keep exploring.